Hey guys, Stealth here. It's been a long time since I played Conquest, and an even longer time since I used a Chinese deck. So, if you have a lot of income, which you usually do in a Conquest game, why not use Chinese Mechanized and just spam the hell out of everything? So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing this game. I'm teamed up with a Sergeant Major, Gammon. We were not on voice comms, but we were coordinating very well this game. I really enjoyed that. We're up against Ro and Pan Samugon. Not really too sure how you should pronounce that. Now, with my mechanized deck, I'm going to try and push towards this tree line. This tree line, of course, is safest because it's easiest for me to reach. In order to jump to the next one, I have to cross an open area, which means either fire support from this tree line or smoking this position and moving up. Now, the Chinese have a lot of infantry in this deck, and I'm going to use all sorts of different varieties of it. I have my recoilless rifles getting into the transports, a couple of Zanchi and ZSD-90. Now, these are nice transports because the autocannons at close range can kill even a tank. And that is something that I'm going to be doing in this gameplay a few times. Also have a bit of recoilless rifles, I already mentioned those. My AA infantry here. And let's speed this up. Command infantry coming in. A couple of Z5s with recon. Attack infantry, AA infantry, and flamethrowers, just to hold this town here. Gammon's going to take the left flank, and Gammon mentioned that this was a low income game, so I thought, okay, I'm going to have to pick my forces wisely. It turned out to be a very high income game, a plus 12 income in fact, and of course it was a conquest, which I realized pretty quickly, but not really quick enough. And my buddy didn't realize it until we were probably somewhere halfway through the game. I'm not sure, he was playing pretty well, but he just didn't see it, so I suppose. Anyway, my forces are not encountering any kind of opposition yet, so I'm trying to get lodged here in Boris as soon as possible. And in the meanwhile, we have quite the push coming in here from Pan, with quite a few tanks, some AGS, as well as some heavy artillery, the M1A1. So since I had quite a few points in income, I decided to start taking measures to neutralize the biggest threat there, and that was the M1A1. 120 point tank, quite a bit of armor, very accurate, and he did not have anything that could deal with that effectively. So I'm saving up for an HGM aircraft right now, getting it ready to start pushing in. Now, meanwhile, my forces are still moving forward, but this was a bit too far. So I'm trying to offload these guys as soon as possible, trying to get at least some damage done here. And of course, losing these, I gotta say, it doesn't even matter too much. Here comes my anti-aircraft plane, my Faibao, tailing the JH-7 with HEGMs. So the HEGMs are gonna hit the M1A1. There you go, tank down. And now he just has AGS and CEV. CEV is still pretty dangerous, but he can at least take out the AGS with his T-64. At least relatively safely. Now, a lot of Commander Marines and Panzergren 90 there, so I did not really want to stay in there. And my forces did not exactly stand a chance against that much firepower coming in. So I had to pull back, and in the meanwhile I'm pushing up with my recon, so at least I have some vision. Also, side project, quite literally, I have one Z5 going all the way around this flank. I'm trying to offload my recon infantry somewhere in their rear so that I can have a good spot at that position. Of course, I might be able to see either a CV in Enna or a CV in Fedor. At least that's the plan. Right now, I'm still bringing reinforcements. I got ZSD-90s as well as a ZTZ-88. This is a main battle tank. Not the best, only 50 points, and I was not really using anything more expensive than 50 points in this match, at least as far as attacking vehicles go. And seriously, this tank is not that good. 10 frontal armor, 15 armor penetration, but at short range, that armor penetration really ramps up. So what I'm doing here is bring this thing pretty much all the way to the front, where it can pretty much one-shot all their vehicles. At the same time though, if that tank encounters an autocannon or another tank, it's just going to be a question of who can fire first. Whoever pulls that trigger first is going to be the one to survive. The other one, not so much. Now my Z5 made it all the way to the map border here. And here we go, trying to drop off the infantry. I gotta say, this still works more often than not, which is very interesting. People just don't seem to be defending their flanks. ZSD-90s engaging a few transports. Of course, one squad of Zanshi is not going to exactly beat all the European infantry that's in there. So I'm bringing in another one. And there's the ZTZ coming in. There you go. Panzer Grenadiers managed to take out the transport as well as the infantry. There goes the other transport. Against 18 Panzer Grenadiers. 7 Zanshi, which are completely panicked, are just not quite going to cut it. Also bringing in more transports. These were empty. I think they transported the AA infantry. But they do have machine guns. And they can serve as, let's say, bait. At least they're going to be causing or giving these guys a bit of a distraction. Now these are Mortar 2s, by the way. Look at what they're doing to my tank. At this range, my tank just does not have the sufficient amount of armor. And they have 10 frontal armor. But the Martyr has 6 armor penetration. So at this range, the Martyr can effectively penetrate my tank and get it destroyed. But look at that. I managed to drop off my infantry. My Liren are moving as fast as they can towards this tree line. Ro has now put up a reconnaissance helicopter here, but it's hovering low. And I don't think it has seen me at all. Actually, yeah, they can see me. That's surprising. Because they have not responded to it yet. And they're not going to. These Liren units are just going to make it all the way to the forest undisturbed. So, it's a small investment for my part. And really, he should have seen this attack coming. I was not going to pay it any, or not going to draw any attention to my Liren by trying to attack that recon helicopter, because that would clearly cause the player to start focusing on this position. But the Liren have been out of cover for quite a while. And the opponents weren't newbies. They had a 50% win rate, I think a few hundred games each. So I was expecting the Liren to get killed off. They don't even have exceptional optics. They have, exceptional stealth. They have very good stealth. But still, managed to make it into the forest. The one thing though I did not have is long-range artillery. The artillery that I have in this deck is mortars. You can see them being brought in here. YW381s. As well as some of that napalm mortar or napalm MLRS system that you're going to see in a while. With those, I'm going to try to push into Boris. And you can see that my ally is also trying to push in, but this BTR-90, I think it was heading west. It did not exactly take the best route, but somehow it managed to get away with it and do quite a bit of damage to the Panzer Grenadiers too. Firebau flying overhead, just trying to get a target, not seeing anything. And meanwhile, it's getting attacked by the Rafale. Rafale decided to go for the Su-24M instead. Now, we were coordinating the strike in chat. I said, I have a seed aircraft, do you have a bomber? He said, yeah, I do have one. So, he decided to fly out his bomber, and at the same time, I send out my Firebau. But unfortunately, we lost both aircraft without doing any real significant amounts of damage. So, mortars are gearing up. I initially brought in 2, but with this amount of income, you only have to wait a little bit in order to get more points. I'm mentioning here, sneaky spot incoming. I'm warning this guy that I have my Lirens going towards this position, but that I have no way of actually hitting the position. And he said, nope, no problem, I have a Melka. Long range big gun. And that is exactly what happened. He brought in his Melka, and my Liren are going to provide the spots here. Now, I'm not the only one who's doing a sneaky run here. Look at this. BTR-90, a couple of BTR-Ds, and they really should not be allowed to go up this flank. They're even spotted, but they are just not being engaged by Blue 4. If Blue 4 had put, let's say, a Leopard 1A5 up on this ridge, we would really not have been able to do that. Now, we saw a few units here. He put up an attack marker, I replied engaging. My mortars are going to fire at that position. Of course, mortars, not really effective against tanks, but they might be able to take down the AA position that I saw there. Now, as you may have seen, I'm trying to get geared up for an attack, bringing in ZSD 90s with more Zanshi as well as Tank Shishu recoilless rifle troops. More ZSD 90s are coming in. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because it's just gearing up for the attack. In the meanwhile, look at that. They should never be allowed to push in this far. But somehow he made it all the way there. And Ro is just not doing a lot to oppose him, other than forcing his infantry to go there. I'm engaging with my mortars. I had put those slightly to the west so I could engage the infantry there, cause a bit of a distraction, so that the Spetsnaz crew could move out. And you can see that we now have very good spottings, or very good spotters right here. Now, my push is ready to go. But I don't really have all the vehicles that I want just yet. I thought I was going to bring in some more tanks, and in order to stun the enemy troops first, I'm bringing in PHZ-70s. These are those napalm rocket, let's say napalm rocket launchers, I think that's the right term. Napalm MLRS, multi-launch rocket system. Not the best range, 7.5 kilometers or 7,700 meters, but that's not really what I get them for. I want to stun the infantry that is undoubtedly in this forest. Look at that. I'm not sure who is spotting it, I don't really care, but we found their CV, which was hiding in this tree line. There's even 2 Mars coming in. Big investment there, 240 points. And it would be nice if we could nail those as well. And meanwhile, the Spetsnaz crew are still there. If this was my line, I would have thoroughly combed this forest with, say, Jaegers or something like that, to make sure that there is absolutely no infantry there. You can see the Mars coming by, there's their FOB, there's the Iltis, and the big guns are now firing. The Melka, very accurate, very high HE, and I believe 1 or 2 rounds are going to nicely take down that CV. Look at that, that's very accurate fire. Splash, CV down. Now, because we still hadn't captured Gregory, we're not actually getting any income from it. But in the meantime, I'm also giving them a distraction here, which they cannot really respond to because they have to focus on getting their CV back. So I'm putting up a smoke screen, getting all my infantry offloaded and just causing a very large front here to push up. At the same time, I spotted this. They did not spot me until I decided to open up on them. Because let's face it, sacrificing 1 group of Lee Wrens for 2 groups of Mars, well, that's worth it, at least for me. That's 1 down. I believe... I'm not sure if they're gonna get the other one. I was focused too much on that push there. No, I don't really care. Yeah, I think they're gonna get it. Yep, there's the other one. 240 points killed off, as well as all of the MLRS AA or MLRS artillery that they could bring in. And meanwhile, my push here is trying to neutralize this terrain. Let's switch to neutral. You can see that all the units here have at least taken some damage. They are not exactly as worried or stunned as I had hoped. Moreover, most of them don't really seem to give a shit that they're in the middle of a burning forest. But they just don't have that much here currently. I have a lot bigger presence. And every now and then these infantry seem to be moving around. I'm also bringing in some more units here. BJ-212 PWL C-28s. If you don't know what those are, I don't blame you. They're recoilless rifle jeeps. 10-point units, 30% accuracy. Here's one coming in right now. Their stats are pretty terrible. But, here's the thing. If you fire one of these weapons, even at close range, they're going to have pretty good accuracy. Actually, their base accuracy is 40. You fire that at point-blank range, the accuracy is going to be pretty good. HE damage is 2. Stun damage, pretty good. At a suppression rate of 328. And they even have some armor penetration, so I could get lucky and take out a vehicle. And since they're only 10 points, have a very high autonomy, I can get possibly some kills here and there. Now, unfortunately, my units here are getting pretty heavily bombed, and I lost quite a few. Most of these Zanshis are not really that experienced, although they are, I believe, hardened, maybe veteran even. And most of them are currently stunned. not too much I can do about that. Anyway, my recon got taken out here. His recon, still there. And we can even see the M270 that's being detected here by the Spats group. So always make sure you have reconnaissance, or that you can do some sort of counter reconnaissance. Fired a second swarm of HE napalm missiles, and I was starting to realize that I did not have the right units to deal with all this infantry. I have 16 Legion 90s in this deck, and I'm starting to bring them in Z9As, as well as bringing in those recoilless rifle jeeps. Now, of course, they're just a one-shot for the Panzer Grenadiers, and the Panzer Grenadiers can even take them out without using their AT weapon. Just the main assault rifle and the machine gun would work perfectly well. Look at that, they still don't know the Spats group's there. Perfect. I believe the M270, I'm not too sure. I believe the M270 is dead. Yeah, it got RD'd by the Melka. So they still don't have a clue that there's any kind of recon in their lines. Here come the Z9As with the Legions. Legions, fully elite, so maximum effectiveness. The one problem that I have is that there is still AA here, and I believe it's a Crotal, or a Mistral actually. Mistral truck here, Mistral Recon, managed to kill off one of my Z9As. So I'm going to have to try and engage that before it's going to do too much damage to me. The problem I have here is if I push up this ridgeline, I'm going to be facing a lot of Blue 4 units. There's their TACOM, there's their Humvee. Look at this, I was so close to that TACOM and I still did not see it. That command infantry is very, very sneaky. Even with firing multiple napalm as well as mortar spreads on that position, I just did not find the target. Zanchis decided to take care of the Humvee there, trying to get some artillery fire in, and now my Legions are also starting to push up. Also bringing in some more Lee Wrens, or at least moving them up a little bit. Moving on my AA, because the constant airstrikes were getting on my nerves, and this deck I don't have any long-range anti-air missile platforms. So I was going to have to use Infantry AA for that. As well as Su-27 SK-1 fighter that I believe I used only once in this situation. That's the last of my Zanchis, and Blue 4, by doing this napalm run, has effectively set up a firewall here that I cannot penetrate currently. I'm going to have to wait till that force burns down, or till the fire burns out, and then I can get possibly lucky and start pushing in. Now my mortars fired quite a bit, 48 out of 204 rounds left, but they are still capable of firing, so I'm not going to push them back to the FOB just yet. I still want to try and get to this position. Look at that. Another attack marker going up by my ally, Gammon. And Gammon has spotted a, I believe, a Chaparral, by the looks of it. Nice AA unit, easy target for Melka. That thing can eat it up in 1 or 2 shots. And of course, Chaparrals are pretty dangerous AA units, so the more we can take those out, the better. A couple of Spats now are engaging. I'm putting down smoke to warn him that I am also going to attack here. And I was smoking this position so that my infantry could get close enough to be reasonably accurate with those missiles. You can see here the recoilless rifle firing at the Delta Force. Not really doing that much. The second one didn't even survive to fire its second shot. Now the Legions are engaging the Deltas. Deltas do not like that. Look at how fast these go down with all the fire that they're taking. Commander Marines there to back them up. More smoke, so my Legions can get closer. Point blank range, and again, more smoke. 70% accuracy. There's the Commander Marines. These guys are pretty expensive, so I was very interested in just trying to take down as many of them as I could to slow down the amount of Commander Marines that are going to come in. Because getting those guys rearmed and repaired, or let's say repaired might not be the right term, but let's say reinforced, is not what I wanted to see. ZSD-90 suppressing Commander Marines here, managed to take out the group, and there's a bunch of smalls there. The Considering that they're small as and Commander Marines, it means that there are 2 players here. So 2 out of 2. That means that we should actually have pushed up here in Elena, because that would have probably worked. I'm doing a bombing run here, trying to get a kill. And it's not going to hit anything, I can tell you that, but I think it was close-ish. Unfortunately, the commando, or the TACOM, is just still sitting here, not giving a shit about all the warfare that's going on around them. Now Blue 4 managed to push back into the forest, just coming down right down this road. And I don't really have an answer to that. You can see that I'm sending my ZSD-90s as well as my recoilless rifle jeeps towards that position, trying to do at least something. Recoilless rifle trying to fire. It did fire once. Look at that, 100% accuracy. That means pretty much a guaranteed kill. That's an LVTB 71 down. Thing made elite, which I was pretty much smiling about, because look at that. These things just keep annoying the hell out of the Panzer Grenadiers, and they're just there, casually firing their recoilless rifles, not really doing anything. Rate of fire, not great, but you can spam these guys faster than they can spam Panzer Grenadiers. So I was perfectly happy just pushing in more of those jeeps. Now, other troops are coming in for me, more recoilless rifle jeeps, as well as Firebaus. Should have brought those in along with the Legions, because Firebaus are of course very good at dealing with entrenched infantry. By now I also have a CV infantry, or an infantry command in Gregory, and I'm going to bring in another CV towards Boris. It is risky, but if we can get this zone, that means that we have a decent chance of getting a +1 income. There it is. CV's in position, and we're just slowly dripping points into our score. If I lose this thing, so be it. I just want to build up this advantage as long as I can. Legions here, I'm pulling these guys back because they've fired almost all of those FHG-84 napalm launchers. So pushing them back a little bit, and there's going to be reinforcements coming for them. A couple of SX-25 or 250 cargos, and my mortars have also paid a visit to the FOB in order to get all of those shells reloaded. So good to go. And I'm pretty much gearing up for another attack here, just getting more forces into position, trying to push into this zone. Miraculously, the Spätzgru is still here, still not being engaged, still haven't been spotted. And that's just the way I like it. But at this point, they just did not see that much. Kind of wondering where their CV is. Oh, there, of course, in the town. If it's not there, it's going to be in the town. Should have known that. We could have hit that with artillery. A couple of Melka rounds on top of that would have easily wiped it out. Another push by Blue 4 with more Commander Marines. Commander Marines are going to get the drop on that recoilless rifle jeep. Firing back. Killed off a few of them, I believe only 3. There's the AGS. Now look at that. That's what I mean with the short range effectiveness of the autocannon. I think it was in the end the Zanshi here that got the kill. You can see that they blew up the jeep, or the M8, with an AT weapon. But at this range, even the ZSD-90 could have easily killed it. More Commander Marines are coming in. Time to start bringing in those Firebaus. Start flaming this infantry, because they are just doing too much damage to my forces here. Now, one thing, in Conquest mode, which we're currently playing of course, I just did not pay any attention to my kill-death ratio. I was not interested in it. All I was interested in was just trying to get hold of as many points as possible. And I was willing to sacrifice as many troops for that as I needed. There, thank you, Bing's pushing in. Going to work with their flamethrowers on the Commander Marines. Commander Marines do not like that. You can see they're getting stunned. More Commander Marines are coming in. And these are sturdy groups. They're 15-man squads. So we're looking at 24 Commander Marines here, 17 there. And that's a bit too much for my Firebaus. Or thank you, Bings. I'm trying to get more troops in here. Also going to fire at those with my mortars, I believe, or at least a bit later in the game. Yep, there you go. Gearing up, ready to fire. The more damage I can pour onto these guys, the better. Long-range artillery going in from, I believe, the Melka. I'm not really sure what it's trying to hit, though. Has he seen anything there? Oh, it seems to be blind firing. Oh, look at that. Command M1 Abrams. Hard to dislodge that one. I even have a Leclerc up there. Anyway, in the meanwhile, Blue 4 is again coming down this ridge and also trying to do a bit of a flanking maneuver there. ZTC 88 is having none of that, engaging the targets as they pop up. But my command vehicle is pretty damn close to this conflict. It still hasn't been spotted, and the ZTCs are slightly pulling back in order not to get one shot by the smalls, or at least to give the smalls a little bit less accuracy against them. Other than that, I just don't have too much that I can do to defend this command vehicle. More artillery is coming in. That's my napalm artillery. I'm trying to lock down this area with a bit of napalm, or at least stun troops as far as they're still in here. It's not very accurate, as you can see. It wasn't meant to be. I was just trying to lock down the area. Blue 4 temporarily pulled out their CV, so my CV just was still there and still managed to make points. Smalls are still pushing up, still have not seen that command vehicle though. And there's a plane that went down. Not too sure what it is. Show me what you are. I think that might have been a napalm bomber, an F4 Phantom. AGS was going to get the first shot, and it turned out to be the M8. But the M8 managed to get my command vehicle instead of my tank. Tank immediately responded, killed off the command vehicle, but we lost that +1. So, bringing in new CV infantry for this, just to get more of a hold on this position. I'm saying the CV must be somewhere here. I still haven't exactly seen it, but it's the only real logical position. And you can see it's just still standing there, undamaged, undaunted. They just don't seem to be worried about this conflict at all. A bunch of Commander Marines here, as well as Delta Force, which are going to work on my vehicles. Not really too good of an advantage here for my vehicles, and my vehicles should be providing fire support instead of being the ones getting fired at. Legions, though, engaging, and a couple of Leopard 2s managed to spoil the party for me here. Not really a lot I can do against those with Legions. So instead, focusing fire on the Delta Force here, trying to kill off as many of those as possible. You see the Sappers getting to work. Lost the transports here for the Fang Hua Bings. Don't really care. Fang Hua Bings are the most important ones here. More Zanchi being brought in. Again, ZSD-90s. At this range, they can kill a tank. CEV coming in. Not really too sure what it's trying to aim at. I don't think it really has any good shot. Somehow, Blue 4 either got killed off. Yep, they killed it. I think that the artillery round from Gammon managed to kill off that CV. So now we still have a +1, because nobody has this zone, and we have one more zones than they do. Sorry, one more zone. One more zones, really? Putting in a CV here is going to give me a +2. So the faster we can get this game over and done with, the better. Now at this stage we had 12 minutes left. Come on, stealth, offload the CV, you can do it. Just click it and press U. It's not rocket science. Well, I was taking my sweet time doing that, I gotta say. Probably engaging these Commander Marines in the meanwhile. Here's the Leopards. Leopards are not really too sure what the biggest threat is, so you can see them angling. And that angling is going to get them killed, I believe. Come on, I still have not offloaded that CV. I should really have done that yesterday. There's the Leopards. Finally, got it. +2. Zanshi's engaging me. You can see that we're pretty much in this pincer fire here. Hammer and Anvil attack from two sides. Martyr 2s from one side, Leopard 2s from the other. Zanshis are trying to do what they can. And I believe that this is the point where I kill off a Leopard with an autocannon. Look at that. Full autocannon salvo into the side of the Leopard. And just a couple of very, very cheap 15-point transports, really, IFVs, managed to kill off a Leopard 2 main battle tank. couple of very important targets for me to get rid of. But still, the battle was pretty contested here. The area was contested. We did not have a lot of stuff to go up here. You can see that we are slightly pushing up at exactly the same time. And I went, nope, I'm not going to go in there with one tank against 20 Panzer Grenadiers and 2 Mortar 2s. Not at that range. Pulling them back. Legion's getting in position. And in the meanwhile, Blue 4 was doing a bit of a maneuver here. I think I got the kill because I'm not seeing anything. But I saw a Black Hawk go towards this position. Didn't want to see that, so instead I sent out all of my helicopters that did not have any tasking. Like the M1, a couple of Z9s with autocannons, Z5s, and I'm just sending these on automated orders. So what I did with, for example, the M1 was hold shift, right click there, 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 and there. So it becomes a sort of snake pattern to scout for targets. Same for the Z9As, same for the Z5s, but there was just nothing there that I could find. Or maybe I already found it, I'm not too sure. ZTS 63-2s is what I'm bringing in now. If you're not familiar with that tank, it's a very, very cheap tank. Only 40 points, carrying a PLA 105mm gun, 3 frontal armor, medium optics, which could be useful in the forests, as well as a Bastion HGM. But what I'm mostly getting these things for is that very hefty gun, as well as the cheap price point, so that I can quickly push those through a forest, have them push up, and destroy anything that they can see. Gammon put down another attack marker. I'm immediately replying engaging. Not too sure what I'm shooting at yet. Oh right, that was the logistic helicopters that just landed there. He was also engaging with them, but by this time they're already empty. Not sure what drained them so quickly, but I think it must have been the mortars. 2 squads of LAVMs, and we did get the helicopters, but of course a little bit too late, because at this stage it wasn't really any use. Right now we were pretty much debating whether to attack or whether just to hold, and for now we're just perfectly happy holding this position. Just reinforcing your position like this is all you need to do. Just wait and win. That's it. Here's another Black Hawk that's going to come in. I'm not sure if it's carrying anything. No, it's just an empty Black Hawk. An empty Black Hawk with poor optics. I'm not sure what its job is here. But they seem to try and engage my units here. They might have been worried that I was trying to flank them instead. Not too sure. We're again getting napalmed here. Legions are starting to burn down. VDV are in trouble. Again, firing my napalm artillery here. Burning up the area a little bit. But look at that, they still have a lot of forces in here. LVTP 71s with grenade launchers. More infantry. And these LVTPs are great units, but at short range they're just not that useful. The best way to use these things is to keep them at bay. Keep them at range. Because those grenade launchers have a 1000 meter range. You don't need to be sitting right on top of them. Now, in the meanwhile, I lost my helicopter here. My Z9As are going to work on the Black Hawk. So that thing's going to go down pretty quickly. So, again, just solidifying the hold and waiting for the income to come in. Building up more forces, legions, a couple more Z9As, and pulling back here. I mean, it's conquest, but you don't have to feed them points, not like that. Now with this artillery strike, I know that I always say follow up artillery with something else, but I was trying to get the mortars, which I which I almost got. At least I stunned them a little bit, I damaged them a little bit, which means less accuracy for them. And these guys, same deal. Less accuracy, a little bit less hit points as well. They just keep firing at this tree position. Now, we have almost all the points we need. 350 out of 500. Let's see, we're still skirmishing here. Pretty much the entire conflict revolved around Boris. That is just the entire meat grinder of this battle. In fact, even Bing's taking artillery fire, a little bit of light mortar, but they're okay. More mortar fire coming in here. Not really doing anything As you can see, no damage taken. And yes, I'm speeding this thing up, because at this stage the battle was pretty much over. Now, what I wanted to signify with this replay is how a lot of cheap units can win the battle. Leopard 1A5s at this range could have been very dangerous to me. The Leopard 2s were a bit of overkill. They just were not required for the task at hand. So, bringing cheap units, like for example those cheap ZTS 63-2s, like the ZTZ 88s, don't underestimate these things, because at short range they can really mess you up. Trying to push in some more. We're debating whether we're going to attack or not, so I put on a smoke screen here. I think this is going to be one of the largest smoke screens I've ever deployed. And it was just to give them an impression that we're going to attack, and we actually were going to attack, but our income of +2 was just too major for us to do any kind of attack in this time frame. So we're still trying to get some of the infantry here. Thank you, Bings, Lee Rans, Lee Jans. Anything that can kill infantry is being brought in to wipe out whatever is left from the blue 4 forces here. And you can see there's not too much of it. A couple of Commander Marines, a couple of Panzer Grenadiers in a very, very heavily ablaze force. Look at that. Terrible position for these guys to be in. Now, before the match ends, I'm pretty interested to see what blue 4 exactly saw. Not too much. All that they did see was a very large smoke screen, couple of sappery, and nothing else. Interesting. They just did not see anything coming at close range. Look at that, the BTR-70 can kill off the Crotal, can kill off the transports. That's something you can do with a smoke screen. Anyway, I still managed to make positive, despite grinding all of those forces through Boris. And I was quite surprised. I had not expected to get a positive ratio like that. Surprised, but not unhappy. So I was very, very content with this victory. Worked very well with Gammon. Gammon made 23 points more than he lost. But overall, his coordination with me was very, very good. So, really enjoyed that battle. I hope you did too. If you did, give it a like. If you want to get into a game with me, linked to my Patreon campaign in order to get into a game with me is down below in the description. And other than that, I hope to see you in the next video.